So this week we're going to talk about two episodes you recently seen from Stargate Universe, which are Trial and Error and The Greater Good, which I believe is episode 6 and 7, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Season 2. Okay. But before we talk about those, I have to circle back to something we had talked about in a previous episode
Oh no.
because it pertains to these two, right?
Okay.
Remember when we were talking about Eli and his reaction to Scott getting the infusion from Chloe, and
Yeah.
how that kind of could be considered storytelling wise, like the conclusion of his Chloe trajectory. Well,
Yeah.
now, what did you think when you saw season 6 and 7 or episode 6 and 7? Did that come full circle?
It did. And I had forgotten because I've said before, I have seen SGU once before, but most of it I don't remember. But as I've been watching it, sometimes like there'll be characters or things that will refresh my memory when I see them. So when I saw her, I was just like, oh, wait, I recognize her. I remember her having an importance in something. And then she gets involved with Eli, which I think is like cute. Um, but I don't trust that character. So at the same time, I'm just kind of like, uh yeah, there's just certain things that I don't know if I'm remembering from the show or if I'm remembering from a different show, and I'm just confusing the two. But yeah, it did definitely come full circle. It did make sense actually. That's kind of genius that they kind
Yeah,
of do those
right?
subtle things with his character that
Mhm.
do give that feeling of like an ending between him constantly liking Chloe and her never responding kind of thing, or her sometimes using him. And so I do like that he has like a new interest that actually is reciprocal. Um
Yes.
and and she's really pretty, and she seems cool. But like I said, I don't know if I'm remembering stuff where she's a little shady. And what I like about it too is how then he's less up in Chloe's business. So it's like then he doesn't
Yes.
visit her as much, and he actually brings it up to her like, "Oh, sorry, I haven't came to visit, blah blah blah," because they had her locked in the room, like
Hmm.
kind of quarantined in a sense. And so I like that. I'm just like, yeah, you go, Eli. Like you don't need to be constantly like seeing how she's
Yeah.
doing. Like it's fine to be like a good friend and everything, but I think sometimes he would go above and beyond with almost like a people pleasing kind of tendency because of his crush on her. So,
Oh yeah. I think the like nowadays term would be he was a simp.
oh,
If the show came out
is that
now,
what that means? Okay.
yeah, people would call him a simp or something like this. Um, but I think, yeah, it also, to me, it makes like his character is like a very important growth to move
Yeah.
on and kind of sever that. Like to me, I look at this like this aspect where her and Scott, like Scott became officially kind of bonded in a way and like
Hmm.
almost in a very permanent way by this. And it's like cutting the cord, and like when
Yeah.
you have, I mean, it's just an interesting because I think in real life, I mean, people do have this thing where they maybe get hung up on someone that isn't available or isn't around, and it's not even just that they're necessarily hung up on the person, maybe they are not ready for something else, and
Yeah.
usually it's like there's something final that kind of cuts it, and then or like you kind of metaphorically cut this like string between you and a
Yeah.
person, and I think that was that moment.
Exactly. And if you're into like if you're into like the woo-woo stuff like I am with spirituality, like that's actually like a thing of cord cutting and releasing like others' energies and stuff in order to kind of move on and not be connected with them, where it's like you will feel them tugging on your energy kind of thing. But I won't get too much into that here because
But it's like
I'll weird
storytelling
people
wise,
out. But
storytelling
yeah.
wise, that's exactly what happened. The cord of energies was cut, and then somebody was suddenly appearing in his life, and he had the
Yeah,
availability to be receptive to that. So,
exactly. And I think that's probably something that many people can relate to, I would imagine, especially like I feel like that can happen a lot for teenagers too. Like,
Hmm.
when you start having crushes and stuff like that, like you can get kind of, at least I know I certainly have gotten very obsessive over specific people that aren't actually even any good for you. And, you focus on it for so long and then eventually finally cut that,
Yeah.
and then
Or
you're free to
celebrities.
kind
I
of,
mean,
yeah,
yeah.
celebrities for sure. Yeah.
Or in my case, non-living celebrities that I really had no chance with. But
Bring
yeah,
them
so
back from the dead.
yes. Um, but yeah, and so I guess we're going to talk about trial and error and then about the subsequent episode. They seem to kind of, a lot of these episodes
Yeah.
do seem to be connected to each other. So um, how about we just start with getting your thoughts on trial and error? Because this was kind of a young, heavy storyline. And
Yeah.
so, yeah.
I actually really like that, even though I'm not super fond of his character. Um, and I think it's supposed to kind of be that way
Yeah.
for people. Um, I actually really liked that they had it focused on him, because prior to that, like when we were talking about like the previous episode, like I think I was telling you, like they weren't really, he was just kind of there. Like I didn't have like a different thought one way or the other. And with this, it was interesting because, they use the concept of him dreaming, um, and having some crazy dreams. And at first you think it's real, um, and happening. And so it kind of like it honestly like shocked me for a second, because I was like, I truly thought like the first time it was real.
Me too.
And
Yeah, same.
they showed like, so basically, so for what's it called, trial and error, basically the idea is that Young is having these crazy dreams of dreaming that like these aliens are surrounding the ship, and he's trying to lead and tell people what to do, and then every option he seems to come up with like doesn't work, and it's the aliens that had initially taken Chloe. And it's about the idea of either giving her up to them because that's what they're asking for, or trying to fight back with force, or put up shields and that kind of thing, and
Mm.
deciding what to do. And so in the beginning of this episode I was in shock, because I was like, no, Lieutenant Scott dies, what the hell?
Yeah, same,
Like,
right?
yeah, like I was like truly in shock. And then I was so relieved when it wasn't real. I was like, oh, phew, like I don't remember that happening. I think I would have remembered that happening since I'd watched it once before. And so like I was relieved. But what I really like about this episode is how it does really go into the mindset of Young. And
Yes.
um it kind of shows the toll that everything has had on, like the toll it's taken on him, and how he like things where he's kind of made these decisions to do certain things. um it's like he's just kind of done at this point. It's just kind of like, his wife is divorcing him. um he lost a baby with, what's her name again, TJ, is it,
Yeah,
or
TJ.
TJ? I don't know why I always forget her name. And then the toll of all the things that like have happened, I think have kind of like taken a toll on him. However, obviously as this episode continues, you then start to realize there's a reason these are
Mhm.
happening to him. Um and yeah, I don't know if you how much further I should discuss it so I'm not babbling the whole time, but
Well, maybe we'll touch on like the reveals in a bit, but like just the opening, I also thought it was real at first, and I
yeah,
was like, also no, but I think actually, especially because we did recently have kind of a not a dream, well, a dream world almost episode,
yeah,
and so you don't automatically think that it will come again. I think this kind of like is one of those sort of situational figure your way through it, kind of like maybe similar to the one where Tilk was in the video game. And
right,
part of the
yeah,
reason why he could never get out of the video game is because the real Tilk would think that it could always, the gold are never defeatable. And
Hmm.
so because he doesn't actually really think it's a battle that can be won, with his mindset, that it will keep getting harder and harder no matter what, and he'll never win. I mean, I think that was the issue with that simulation. And so I think in this case, it kind of gave me a similar feeling. I would say a lot like you. I mean, I really like the character of Young because I don't like him. Like, I do not
Hmm.
like Young. Like, as a person, I don't like him. As a character, I really like him because I think he's not a likable character.
Yeah.
And I think it's interesting that I mean, of course, they've explored, this question of leadership before. They have explored the question of leadership with Weir, for example. I mean, there was even an episode with O'Neill when he was first general, where he was kind of exploring his leadership. And so it's something I think it is a theme and it's important to address. And I think here specifically, it's also like he didn't choose
Hmm.
necessarily to be in charge in this particular role, which is
Yeah.
different from, say, Weir, who who knew. And he has had so many like uncomfortable situations, maybe decisions that he's obviously questioned. And so to me, actually, to have an episode that is exploring this from this direction, I found really interesting. And it was
Yeah.
an interesting way to kind of explore a character while also like having some suspense and, anxiety, basically.
Yeah, no, that's a really, really good point. Um, a slight side note of what you said actually made me realize something that I did not realize until you said it. And it kind of connects all three Stargate series, which is kind of funny, in terms of how they do things. So you were mentioning the idea of Teal'c,
Hmm.
um, with the episode where he had to believe and stuff for certain things to happen, right? Within the
Hmm.
game mode kind of thing. And me and Taylor, my daughter, had just started watching Atlantis, and we just watched the episode. I think it's like the third episode in where McKay wears the little Atlantis shield
Oh,
device, and
yeah.
it's all in his mind in order to be able to take it off. And so, like, initially, when Weir says something about him needing to do something for this like creepy dark shadow that's in their quarters, basically, like at Atlantis, like that they're trying to trap and get rid of. He basically, she's just like, oh well, you could use your shield like to try and be the one to do it and everything instead of Shepard. And immediately, like, he's chicken shit, right? He doesn't want to do that, and immediately the shield thing falls off finally.
Yeah,
And meanwhile,
that's
he's
right.
complaining, saying he's gonna die, and that he's gonna die because he can't eat and drink and all this stuff, and he's so dramatic about it, and it's hilarious. And it was just funny because it just like whoop and it fell off. And so that was all with his mind. Teal'c was all with his mind. This episode with Young, it was with his mind. I believe up to a point, actually, because then there's
Yes,
something that
right?
happens that's not fully with his mind. But yeah,
Yeah.
so I thought that was funny.
So this is an interesting because it's like taking this to an extra level, but that is cute. I like that. I like that they
Yeah,
have those connections. And
yeah,
that yet they're all so differently done, right?
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like it's almost like it almost kind of it's very smart. I think like it what it kind of reminds me of is if like this is going to sound really silly, but because we're both music composers, right? And I kind of think of like back when I was like working on my bachelor's and working with my composition teacher, and like you'd maybe get like a little phrase of a few notes or something, and you would be asked to try and see how many different ways can you like what can you do with all these notes, like you can
Exactly.
change the rhythm, you can do all sorts of different things, with it, and make just like those same notes in all different ways. And it's kind of like what they did with the writing in a sense, even though like obviously like they're all very different stories. It's like they take a concept of needing to use the mind to help with the
Hmm.
situation and then do it in a million different ways. And I feel like they do that with other things too throughout all the different series as well.
Yeah, no, it's very true. There's quite a lot of things that like even just the way that they do because I recently saw this the like in Atlantis, it was talking about an Atlantis clip episode, which is like letters from Pegasus. Or and I think they have these really unique ways of exploring genre episodes, like
Yeah.
a type of episode. Like alien going to an alien planet or um having a dream world or something that is dealt with a mind, something that is like they have a really nice way of exploring these kind of genre episodes in very creative ways
Yeah.
across all the series.
Yeah.
um but in this one is I mean I guess here's a at what point did you start to realize that maybe it was something more than just his dreams?
Definitely once Rush was more involved.
It's
I'm
always
trying
Rush,
to,
isn't
yeah,
it?
it is always Rush, damn it. Damn Rush. Um I can't remember fully like the and I know I just saw the episode not that long ago, but I can't fully remember everything in it. But I do remember with Rush in particular, no one knows at this point yet that he has that little secret room he
Yep.
goes to and all that stuff. And I believe this was the episode where he was constantly also disappearing, I think. Um and he has been doing that for the last few episodes, I believe. I think they've
Hmm.
constantly had it where like people be like, "Where's Rush? Like, we
Yeah.
need him for this." And then he just appears and they'll be like, "Where were you?" And like he'll just like make up some excuse and everything. And I think it wasn't actually though till more near the end of this episode that I
Yeah.
realized um I think it was the end of this episode. I'm assuming it wasn't the beginning of the other one because I don't think that would have made sense unless he
Mm-mm.
did just say it in the other one. I'm not sure because there's stuff that happens between Young and Rush in the other one as well. So I remember Rush saying to him something about how he did something with
Yeah.
the ship to stop to how like because it was because of Rush that Rush realized it was a simulation, right?
Yes.
From the ship. And
Yeah.
so I think he tried to find a roundabout way to tell them it was a simulation. I think I can't remember if Eli also figured it out first, but Rush figured it out on his own as well that it was a simulation, and then Rush did something in that
Yeah.
secret area of the ship that no one knows about yet. Um, to then fix it, and they make it seem like it's Young that actually by him feeling what is it, more confident in his leadership abilities, that it's because he keeps trying to put the leadership onto Lieutenant Scott, right?
Hmm. Yep.
And Lieutenant, and I also liked in this episode too, speaking of that, the dynamic between Young and Lieutenant Scott, because
Yeah.
I feel like the previous episode of Cloverdale showed that he thought of him as kind of like a father figure, right?
Mm.
And kind of looks up to him in that way. And then in this episode, Young brings it up and says, "I'm not your father." Like, he mentions something about not being his father. And like he's kind of nasty to Lieutenant Scott to try and get him to just choose to be in charge and
Right.
just let him not do anything anymore. Like because Young has kind of reached his limit of feeling like he can handle anything. And Scott's trying to get him to realize like, no, you can do this, like get your shit together and get, you know, it's okay
Hmm.
that it's like affecting you, but you need to like act like a leader right now. And like I feel like I kind of liked that Lieutenant Scott was the one that was kind of trying to give him this pep talk, and
Hmm.
kind of like trying to help him get going. And then, it's I kind of feel bad that it wasn't actually him feeling confident about himself that caused it to like be fixed, that it was Rush that fixed it and it just happened to time in that way to make it seem like that. But so it's like I felt kind of like almost like secondhand embarrassment for him
Yeah.
because I'm just like it kind of like reminds you of like if like a little kid were to like go and try their hardest at something and feel that they've accomplished something, but then it was maybe someone else that actually helped them get it, but they didn't
Yeah.
realize kind of thing. And so I was just like, oh, I don't know how I feel about this.
It's like when I was younger and I used to race my dad and brother and I always won. And I like thought that I was actually fast and I was definitely not fast. But I always won
Oh,
every I won every race. And now as I'm older, I'm like, man, I wish I actually ran fast, but I didn't.
oh,
But
that's
I mean,
fascinating.
is yeah, I think this is an interesting thing you mentioned that this other thread between the previous episode and this one with Scott, because I actually didn't pick up on that, that
Ah,
there's
yeah.
this also this thread coming from the previous episode of their relationship and then how Scott has to deal with him. And yeah, in the end, it was kind of an interesting eclipsed resolution, right?
Hmm.
But I think, I mean, yeah, I mean, it was resolved, but it's like almost a very universe way of not letting it be an ideal resolution, but letting it be resolved. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And it's funny too because I know each streaming service may be different. I don't know if when you've watched it, if they constantly do a recap before each episode saying
Mhm.
previously, because I feel like for many episodes leading up to this one, they would always show a clip of when Young punched Rush,
Mm,
and they always showed that dynamic constantly, but then things wouldn't necessarily happen with them in the episode up until it finally got to this episode, which is what, episode 6 and 7,
yep.
especially episode 7. um and so I find that interesting that like the little recaps in the beginnings of the episodes, um which I don't always like watching those, to be honest, but for some reason with SGU I do, but just because like I feel like it just kind of helps remind me and
Yeah.
helps things make sense, especially if I've had a gap of time. Um, but yeah, so then going on to the next episode, so it's called The Greater Good, right?
Hmm.
Um, like how did you feel about that episode? Because it's like I felt like it almost like nothing good is gonna happen
Yeah.
when Young and Rush have to go to the same ship and almost kind of be stuck there for a period of time. Um, so basically with this episode, it's where what they come into contact with another ship
Chip.
and
Yes.
they want to see like what's on there, like if it's anything of benefit to them. And I think like Rush basically um says he'll go over there. So then, of course, Young doesn't trust Rush. So then Young chooses to go over there with Rush. And
Hmm.
the way they even have to go over there is kind of badass, right? Because it's like they can't quite directly get there. So I think they have to go across on this like line
Yep.
that they've connected to it. Um, and then it's just the two of them. And it's like, then you have
Yeah.
Lieutenant
Trapped
Scott
together.
that's not trusting that Young's not going to want to kill Rush. And, he's trying
Yep.
to assure him like he's not going to do anything. But it's just kind of like when they're over there, then that's when, oh, and then it also brings in Amanda. Is her name Amanda Perry, right?
Amanda Perry comes back. Yeah.
So that's cool. Like, because I didn't know that that character was coming back at all. So I really liked Amanda Perry. And so um I always find that so fascinating. Her and Rush's relationship is so
Oh yeah.
strange to me because he's so different with her than everyone else, because that's the only one that he's actually like had a connection with on Earth, I think, prior to being stuck on this ship. So yeah, I mean, like, what was your like initial thoughts of this episode, like when all that first happens and the two of them are going on that ship together?
I mean, on the one hand, it gave me, I think it's really interesting that they had first these episodes that were kind of focused really heavily on Chloe and Scott. And then they had this episode that was kind of focused on Young. This one, it focuses on Young and Rush, but I kind of feel like it's a little bit focused more into Rush
Mm-hmm.
because it's kind of almost this, you're building up to this with he has this secret thing and he's kind of doing it and he's managing it, but it's always like when you have a secret, I mean, or something you're not telling, like, I mean, probably we all remember, like as a kid, there's something you've done, and you don't tell your parents, and you hide it somehow, and you
Yeah.
hope they're never going to find out, and you hope they're never going to find out, and at some point they find out. I mean, it's like you fail a test or something, you hide it or whatever, and like whatever it is. And the feeling of that feeling you have when you know you're about to get caught. And I feel like in this one, the whole feeling I had was that he was going to get caught basically because he had to suddenly slightly expose to someone else that he was kind of using this secret room, secret bridge, whatever, which already kind of started to break apart his thing. And then I mean, by the end, I think he had to reveal it, or she revealed it, or something, or she got caught. But I mean, it kind of gives you this weird feeling. And then at the same time, he's there with Young, and they have a history. And then you wonder, like, what is going to happen when Young finds out that he is
Yeah.
secretly using that? And so it's kind of like, if I found this episode to be very very tense in that regard.
Yeah. Because it is always a thing of like, because basically they're communicating over like however it's like a radio like communication between each ship, right? um and initially it starts off very tense too, because initially, if I remember correctly, they don't even know if there's going to be life support or if they can get the life
Mhm.
support going on that ship.
Yep.
So immediately I'm just like, oh my gosh, are they gonna like get over there and then they're just going to be like, they only have a certain amount of hours of their suit giving them life support,
Yep.
and then they're screwed. So they almost make you think that something with that is going to happen, but it doesn't,
Hmm.
which was actually kind of surprising. But so then, they get over there and they're trying to, you know, I think Rush is trying to get onto the systems of the ship and stuff, and figure out stuff with that. And then finally, when they get Amanda Perry, who then this ties in Eli, because Amanda Perry is using his girlfriend's body, right? The girl
Hmm.
that's um the redheaded girl. And
Grim. Is it Grim? Or no, no, no. Jin. Her name is Jin or something.
oh, I
Ginny?
don't I don't remember. Ginny, isn't that from Harry Potter?
Yeah. Maybe it's Ginn. I don't know. I feel
I'm
like it's
not
like
sure.
Ginn or okay.
Yeah. You're probably right. But I honestly have no idea what
Harry
her name is.
Potter. Ginny Weasley. Maybe I went there because of the red hair. I don't know.
Yeah. Um, but so ties that in too with a weird dynamic, because then like he's having to see his girlfriend. I mean, we mainly see Amanda Perry, right? But like
Mhm.
anyways, like with this, it's like it starts off with Rush basically trying to get Young to go off to a different part of the ship. And then he sends a message to Amanda Perry with writing like the alien language or whatever, and she's deciphering it all to realize that like he's telling her about the secret area of the ship to go to, like the bridge of the ship or whatever you would call that. And so then when she finds that, then she's put in a position where she's uncomfortable, right? And I find that interesting because it's like that character has like this crush on Rush, right? And
Mhm.
this deep respect for him. But I kind of feel like in that moment, it was almost like seemed like she started to question that. Like she was questioning why he wasn't allowing anyone else to know about this area of the ship, why he had to keep it secret.
Mhm.
Why is he just bringing her into it just to then get her involved with this secret? Like I kind of feel like it's making it that she's starting to question him a little bit, even though she's loyal to him in a sense.
Oh yeah.
And it's completely
Mhm.
unfair to her, and really
Totally.
shitty of Rush to do that to her. Um, because she seems like very much so a team player. Like she seems like she
Yeah.
wants to, help everyone and have everyone involved. So it's like you could tell she clearly wanted to tell the other members of the crew about that area of the
Hmm.
ship. And so I found that interesting. And then basically eventually reaches the point because of him being so sketchy and certain things with their communication going off, because he had to go to different communication line or something like that to talk with her. Um, that's when Eli figures it out.
Hmm.
And then they find it all, like that area of the ship. And so, yeah, and then that's when all shit kind of breaks loose in terms of then Young also then coming back and hearing Rush be kind of like secretive about what he's doing and everything. Um, and then, then they get in a fight. But what I thought was really cool but crazy at the same time is I don't know if you remember near the end of the episode when they're needing to come back and basically their ship is like at a very strange angle at this point. Like I don't know what happened. I think like because doesn't the ship turn on or something and it pulls them further away? I think that's what happens during part of the episode is the ship that Young and Rush are on, something happens where it moves more forward and makes them further away. Um, and then something else happens where it kind of, I think, makes it at a strange angle or something. And so I like how we get to see that Eli, up to this point, he's never been super confident, really, if you think about it.
Yes.
He was like dead set, like, no, this is going to work. You have to, because they have to basically jump out of one ship to get to the other ship, but they have
Yep.
to do a very specific angle. And I like how self-assured he was, like he was very like confident with like, no, I know how to figure this out, you have to go when I tell you to go, kind of thing. Where if you think of Eli back from day one, that's a totally different Eli, right? And all it took
Yeah.
was for him to be with some girl.
Or to get over Chloe, like to get over Chloe,
Yeah,
to forget this person that like makes you feel unworthy because they don't want you. And it's like, okay, now he's,
yeah,
but I think I mean, I also have to, it must be like, it is so interesting that Amanda Perry was specifically in her body because it kind
yeah,
of connects Rush and Eli in this very weird way. And can you imagine, like, when you just think about it, that imagine being Eli and you have this new girlfriend and basically with someone else's consciousness, but still her is like sleeping with Rush. I mean, I know that didn't happen in this episode, but I mean, you could surmise that this is
yeah,
a realistic possibility if,
yeah,
like, I mean, if they keep doing this or something, like imagine being Eli and your new girlfriend is, you know, bodily wise sleeping with Rush. That
yeah.
breaks my brain.
Yeah. And I mean, that brings up a really good point of what happened in this episode, which was Rush chooses to kiss her because last time he had that chance and didn't, or like I think someone walked in or whatever and it never
Yeah, yeah,
happened,
yeah,
or
true.
he chose not to. Um, and that was with I think Camille's body at the time,
Yep.
right?
Mhm.
And so yeah, it's like this time they do kiss, and then Eli walks in and he's
Hmm.
just like really hurt and upset by the whole thing and mad at
Yeah.
her because he explains to her like, she's in someone else's body. And so it's like it must be so crazy though if you think about it. Like
Out of curiosity, was that the first time that they addressed on screen that concept? Like, or no?
I think
Right?
so. Because like you mean the concept of it being someone else's body?
The concept of the character, or I mean, I don't know, maybe if they did when Telford was having Young in his body or not, but I feel
That
like
was, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
but this time it's like another character that actually said, "Hey, you're in someone else's body."
I think that
Um,
is the first time because
uh,
I've personally always found it very, very weird that they haven't been mentioning
yeah,
that and that they're all so cool with it. And so I think that is like the first time.
yeah.
Because there is that whole crazy awkward stuff of Telford and Young's wife. That to me still just like cringes me out, man. Like I just
Yeah,
hate
because I
that
mean,
stuff.
this is what I mean. Like, legitimately, like Telford. slept with Young's wife, really. And I mean, and we don't know what, I mean,
Yeah,
again, we don't really know what happens off screen. So for all we know, Rush has slept with, um, you
right.
know, Eli's
Oh,
new girlfriend. And I mean, so that's kind of like,
yeah. Yeah. I mean, they made it seem like they had literally just kissed and then
yeah,
Eli
yeah, in
walked
this
in.
episode for sure. But
So,
yeah,
I mean, but it's highly possible maybe future episodes, if she's back, maybe that happens. I don't know. What I thought was interesting is they didn't they didn't make it any sort of big deal about um the other girl going back into Amanda Perry's body because Amanda Perry's so, you
yeah.
know, disabled, right? Like that when Camille did that, it was like shocking for her
Yeah,
to suddenly be like basically almost paralyzed, right? And so I know that they wouldn't need to rehash that by any means, but I remember it was a big deal when Camille did it because it was so
yeah,
shocking and scary for her. And one of the ladies before that, that did it before Camille did it, had to come back. Like they couldn't handle it. So I
yeah.
found it interesting that like they don't really even mention it. It was just like the girl offered to do it and then it happened. So, I mean, I guess it makes sense because that was already talked about in a previous episode. But at the same time, I would imagine for that character, it would be incredibly hard being in Amanda
Yeah.
Perry's body. Um, and at the same time, Amanda Perry, it's probably like, it's like exciting for her in a sense because she gets a little bit of freedom to
A
feel
kiss
like,
rush.
yeah. And so yeah, the whole thing is kind of crazy if you think about it. But
Oh yeah.
one thing that I thought was interesting, I'm curious to see the episodes after this because I haven't yet. Um, is at the very end or near the end, right? When Young is leaping from one ship to the other and he misjudges, like he must have went too soon before Eli said for him to go. And Rush actually runs to help him. Like Rush didn't need to run to help him. He could have let Young just fling off into space. Like he could have done that. And so by him running to get, oh God, am I saying all the right names? I'm starting to confuse myself. For him, for Rush running to get Young and then
Rush was
grabbing
rushing
onto
to get
him,
yeah.
Rush was rushing. Ba-doom, boom. Um, but like, that to me, I would imagine is a very important thing actually that just happened there because
Yeah,
that's the
no.
first time that Young realizes like, oh wow, like he actually just saved me. He could have let me die, but he
Hmm.
just saved me. So I think that's like a massive thing with maybe trust rebuilding, but at the same time, I feel stupid saying that because it's Rush and he's very untrustworthy. But yeah, it will be interesting to see. And I know you've already seen well past this, but it'll be interesting to see like now that more of the crew know about, the bridge. Is it called the bridge of the ship? Is
I
that what it's called?
I can't remember,
Um,
but I feel like it is a secret bridge or something.
yeah. Um, yeah, I think that that will be really interesting to see like what they realize from all of that because now you have all these different scientists that are able to study it all and it's not just Rush and his weird hallucinations or whatever the hell that is that maybe eventually we find out. But
We've opened a huge can of worms, basically.
yeah,
Have been open.
yeah.
I mean, I think personally about the Rush and Young thing, I don't even think it's necessarily like trust. Like, I think this is just a Rush's character. I mean, he is
Hmm.
secretive, he is selfish, but I don't think he would let someone die, like in that way. Like, I think in certain, like this kind of thing, I think he recognizes when, and maybe even like, so I think like he's not necessarily an evil person. Like, I think in the, like in a, it would be interesting to see what is his D&D alignment or what people felt about his D&D alignment.
What's a D and D line? What do you mean?
like when you're making characters in Dungeons and Dragons, there's
Oh.
alignments. And so like basically you can be good, neutral, or evil. And then I think it's like there's lawful, which is like you do the right things, and then chaotic, and then neutral. So I think if I'm remembering this right, if somebody is playing D&D and I'm not remembering it right, they will yell at me. But this is kind of you get the
Uh,
gist, anyways. You have this
yeah.
through this. So like for example, if you were chaotic good, you might be someone that doesn't really follow the like like O'Neill might be chaotic good because he doesn't really always follow the rules, but he does it for the right reasons,
Hmm.
you know? And I think Rush, I might consider someone that is more chaotic and neutral in that
Hmm.
he doesn't really follow the rules and he does his own thing, but I don't really think there's anything evil there. I think it's more like he has a certain perspective on things, but I do think I find him more in this neutral zone. I don't, and so I think in this circumstance, I mean, even from a point of neutrality, there's no reason to let Young die. Young is a useful person to have around. Um, and so I would surmise that it makes sense that he
Yeah.
helped him.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. The thing with, yeah, I think the thing with Rush is he's totally fine. In my opinion, he's totally fine with letting people die if it's for his weird thought of thinking it's for the greater good kind of
Yes,
thing.
exactly, exactly.
So it's like if he thinks it gives them some sort of massive amount of knowledge that will change the world in some way, he's gonna allow for that to happen because in his mind he thinks it's a necessary sacrifice.
Yep, unnecessary.
Um,
Yeah.
but you are right in that moment. He probably didn't think Young dying would be a necessary sacrifice.
No,
Like
it's not
it,
useful at all.
it would just create more chaos. And even though wants like Young to kind of step down and wants someone else to be in charge, um, I think he probably still wants him there for now, at least.
Yeah,
um,
exactly, exactly.
yeah,
And why just let him die? I mean, I think that that aspect is so I think it's kind of I would put him at a chaotic neutral. I think it'd be interesting to hear what other people had to say if they play if they're
yeah.
under the D&D alignments because I mean it might be fun to do that with all the characters someday, but um
Yeah. I mean,
I
I don't think I've ever I mean, I think once a long time ago I tried playing D&D with you. Maybe a long time ago, but I never really got into it, so I don't really understand it all. So you would have to like explain it to me for me to kind of like rate in that way. But yeah, it is interesting and I do think uh oh God, there was a thought I had before I was starting to say the D&D thing and it totally left me. So I'll just let you continue. But like if it comes back to me, I'll let you know.
but I think I will also be really interested to hear your thoughts on some of the upcoming episodes.
Hmm.
Um and I think I mean, I know there are like serious things going on, obviously, with what happened, for example, them going on the ship and but I do feel like in the last and then of course like with Chloe's um circumstance, I do feel like in the last four episodes we've talked about that it was all a lot of building interpersonal drama and kind of a very I mean, I don't want to say like political because it's nothing really political, but you know how sometimes in political shows, it's more about maneuvering and secrets than necessarily big plot things
Yeah.
going on. And I feel like a lot of the last four episodes were kind of this building up of these quiet, sort of under the surface things or things that maybe people were keeping secret or people were holding within, like like in Eli's case, it's more of a inner feelings. And the to me, the greater good is kind of it's almost like this point of release,
Hmm.
and I think this is kind of metaphorically like when Rush is found out, there's this sort of release of um, this big secretive thing. And actually, it's been going on for a while. So
Yeah.
it's kind
Yeah.
of something that's been present for a while. It's almost like I mean, I don't really want to say it's an antagonist because it's not. Like, it's not an antagonist in the sense, but it is something that's been going on with the plot that has been present, but
Yeah,
yeah.
and that's where I feel like Rush is so unhinged in the sense that like he he truly feels like the only person he could tell was when Amanda Perry came.
Yep.
And he can't trust anyone else. And that baffles my mind because to truly feel like you can't trust anyone else in that crew when all everyone wants to do is get home, that must be what he doesn't trust because he doesn't want to get home. He wants to do his whole weird mission of whatever the heck he's trying to accomplish there with some sort of alien knowledge of figuring. I don't even fully understand it. Like, that must be why he doesn't trust anyone because and I think that's why it's so strange for my brain to um feel like Rush with Amanda Perry is even the same Rush. Like it confuses me because it's just like he's so different with her that it's almost just like it feels like a completely different person. And he's like, I mean, even if he was like that with one other person on the ship, it would feel less foreign. But because he literally secludes himself and goes into crazy like crazy scientist mode almost of being so laser focused on his like mission of figuring out the ship and all this like ancient knowledge or whatever it is that he's trying to figure out that it just makes him seem a bit a bit wonky, you know, like it just
You
doesn't
know,
make sense to me.
it's so funny because to me it makes perfect sense.
Does it?
Yeah, but only, I mean, if you think about it, mostly because, um, I mean, he has a certain motivation. Most of the people on the ship are not there for any other reason than, this thing happened. And I'm sure, like,
Yeah.
I mean, to me, it makes perfect sense because of, I mean, just my experience and sometimes being in like management or like things where you are in charge of something
Mm-hmm.
and you really just can't trust other people to do it. And it's just like the unfortunate thing. You have people that maybe work um, like in positions under you, or could theoretically you could delegate the tasks, but you know that it's like being in a group project.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm sure you've had this experience of being in a group project in school, and it's like, well, I could trust everybody to do the group project, but they will screw it up and then we'll get a bad grade. So I will just take over all the work. And then everybody's usually happy with that because they get credit and everything is fine. And then you get the A plus. I mean, I've done this one time where I like stepped back of a group project and we got a bad grade and I never did again.
Oh no.
Yeah. So it's like, I mean, and and people a lot of times they don't do anything anyways. They like don't want to do the group project. And I think in this case, it kind of like, to me, Rush seems like someone that is working on a gigantic group project where like, he wants to do it on this topic and they all want to do this other topic and so what he does rather than communicating with them, he kind of finishes the group project by himself. And he's trying to finish it by himself so that he can
Yeah.
turn it in and, they'll get the grade he wants or whatever. Um, I think Amanda Perry is someone he knew beforehand, and so he already had this established relationship and probably, has this trust. And I think this kind of selective thing of trust, I mean, in my industry, I would probably be the same. Like there's so much politics and people have their own interests and things. It's really hard unless, and I think that's maybe something to me that sets a little bit the characters in this show apart from in SG1 and Atlantis, because in SG1 and Atlantis you have the circumstance that everybody really truly trusts each other in the
Yeah.
in the team. And I feel like if I was in this is a circumstance where you know, I've had this too, where you're in a group and you really feel like everybody that is there is on the same wavelength and that you can rely on people. And I think that's
Yeah.
something extremely special. But I think to me, there's a difference. That would be the biggest difference to me in how Rush deals with people and how, say, like, Carter or O'Neill. I mean, O'Neill has this
Yeah.
fantastic team. Like, I would trust any of them with my life.
Yeah. And I think too, it all kind of goes back with how all this happened, right? It's like with
Hmm.
SG1, they're willingly becoming part of this program. With Atlantis, they're all willingly becoming part of Atlantis. They get stuck there, but like initially they all agree to go there, right? And so
Right.
there's that level of understanding and agreement of, we are doing this thing and we're going to be exploring this and learning this, blah blah blah, and everyone has their roles. And I think the big massive difference with this is people just get tossed on this ship and
Yeah.
get stuck. And it would definitely, like, that's how it's like perfectly done, because it's like, and I think that's why, when people complain about the vibe of the show, and maybe initially when I first was watching like the first season and stuff, I was saying, oh, it's so hard for me to get into, like, you know um but then it's like, once you actually do give it that chance and get into it, it's like it makes sense, because it's like it's not going to feel like the other two. Like that would be really dumb if it did. Like it wouldn't make any sense for it to just, you know, have like the certain elements of humor that, Jack has in SG1 in
Exactly.
universe. Like that would feel so wrong, that, but it takes a while to kind of, as the viewer, I think, at least for myself, to kind of get to that point. At first, you kind of almost grieve the other two
Mhm.
shows, and you're just like, oh, I
Yeah,
just want a
yeah.
little bit of that back.
Yes, right?
Um, yeah, but then like once you really do actually get into this, my God, it's so good. It's so good. Like I love it. And especially at this point, like every single episode I've watched, I've been like actually wanting to watch the next episode after that. I haven't always done it because like maybe I'm busy with other things. I'm just like, oh, I guess I probably shouldn't. But I've had that desire to, which is actually a big difference from when I first
Mhm.
started watching SGU. I was just like, okay, whew, that was a heavy episode. I need to take a break, maybe watch another one in a week,
Yeah.
kind of thing. Whereas like now, like when I've watched, these last few episodes, I'm like really into it. And I'm just like, this is really cool. Like I'm curious what's going to happen next. And I want to watch the other one. So it's such a shame that it didn't last more than 2 seasons,
Yeah.
because I think it would have gotten really, really good.
Yeah. I mean, I think in the first few episodes, I think because so much of the problem was focused on actual problems, that's why maybe that first kind of getting into it was a little bit on the, I mean, I don't want to say boring, but I think
Yeah.
that would be the main criticism. It's just that it's just not, it doesn't quite grab you yet.
Yeah.
Um, Although it's enjoyable. But I think when they get into this interpersonal kind of character ones is when it's really interesting because, yeah, the characters are really complicated. I mean, the fact that you say something like, I, Rush's behavior confuses me, I think it's perfect. Like, I think that's
Mhm.
exactly the kind of thing that they're probably looking to bring up. I mean, and then you have characters like TJ, who she seems like such an absolutely decent person. I really like the character. On the other hand, she's having an affair with a married dude and got pregnant by him. So it's like everybody's doing
Yeah.
something dumb. And I mean, I think that's how human
Yeah.
beings are. Like human beings
Yeah.
are always doing something dumb. They're not perfect.
Yeah.
And I think it's almost like that aspect does make it. Even Eli's not perfect. I mean, he's a nice guy, but come on, like when he's like, I mean, Chloe's being a crap to him, but he's also like not doing himself any favors by being obsessed with her. So
Yeah.
like that's kind of like a, and then Scott, I mean, basically cheating on his girlfriend with Chloe and then breaking up with her, whatever. I mean, I don't know their relationship, but it really seemed like it wasn't like they broke up and then he started dating Chloe. So it's kind of
Yeah.
like everybody, yeah, the only one I think that is kind of where you go, you know what, this dude is like completely pure is Greer.
Really?
Yeah. He always struck me as pure of heart, 100%. And he is like 100%. There's nothing under the surface there, like in terms of weirdness, which is funny because he comes off as really the opposite of that. But
Yeah. I don't know. I would have to think about that one. I don't know. He's another one that I get confused by.
oh, really?
Just because like, I mean, I get what you're saying, like he's kind of stuck to how he's kind of been throughout, but it's more of like his anger and how he gets worked up really like turns me away from that character, if that makes sense. Like it's just
Mhm.
like a repellent almost. Like I'm just like, ah, I don't like that. I don't like that he gets so angry and
Gotcha. Yeah.
worked up. It almost just makes me like feel like if I was like around someone like that, I would feel unsafe, because I would feel like you
Ah,
never
okay.
know when they're gonna blow up. Um, but at the same time, maybe, I don't know if you're on his good side, I guess like you maybe would feel safe. I don't know. But yeah, something about him I feel uneasy about. I don't know how I feel about him yet. But yeah, it's just I keep forgetting what I was going to say because there was something you had mentioned that oh, that's what I was going to say. Sorry, it's like ADHD brain. Um it really has nothing to do with like what you were saying, but it was a thought that came across as you were talking about everything was Eli when he's with that girl and like they indicate that he's with that girl. I find it hilarious how they do that, which is you don't see him, you just see his t-shirt.
I know, I love it. That's how iconic his t-shirt is.
And I thought that was like so hilarious and like
Yeah.
I love that it was like done in that way because not everything needs to be done with like a full-on like sex scene or whatever, you know. I think it was like actually perfect because like he's such like a you know, if he was in a normal setting, he'd probably be such a lighthearted character and just kind of like
Yeah.
nerdy that like I think that's hilarious that all you saw was his red t-shirt.
That's amazing. Yeah, no, and I was happy for him. Like I'm happy for Eli. That's you go, guy.
That reminds me how that episode ended though. I forgot. It ends where um I don't know his name. He plays Teabag in Prison Break. Um
Oh,
that's
the
what I
the
know him
Lucian
from.
the Lucian Alliance guy.
Yeah, he's I love that actor
Simeon.
so much.
Simeon
I don't know
is
what his name
yeah.
is, but yeah, the creepy one. I know him from when I watched a show called Prison Break and he played a really ridiculous character named Teabag.
Oh,
Um
nice. Teabag.
yeah,
Like teabagging? Like was he doing teabagging?
he had that nickname in prison. I don't really remember why that was, but he
I'm
was
sure
kind of
because he must have teabagged people.
I guess so. He must have. They didn't, I don't remember them ever showing that, but that was his name. So that's when I first ever saw that actor was in that show, and I love him. Um,
Nice.
but yeah, so this episode ends where he's walking into that girl's room. And so I'm just like, oh my God, what's he gonna do? Is he gonna kill her? Like, I better not get to the next episode and she's just like found dead. I would be so sad. And I know you can't tell me, I don't want to see your expression, but like
I have a neutral expression.
you do actually, yeah.
I have a neutral expression, but to be honest, the whole time we're talking about all these things, I said, next, we will have to do this again. Remember where I said, we will talk about next time, or you need to leave in the comments how you feel when you saw the next episode. Because like with Eli, when you said that, I was like, well, damn, if only you knew that he gets with someone in the next episode. That was my brain. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
he's about to get a girl, like a different one. But yeah, we'll probably have to talk because actually there's quite a lot of plot points
I
coming
mean,
up.
I'm pretty sure I'm remembering something about her character. But I don't know for sure. And I don't know if it's something you would have seen yet, anyways, if I am correct on this. So, but so if that were the case, then maybe that character wouldn't be killed. But yeah, I'm pretty sure I remember something about her character. But um we shall see.
Yeah. So what I would say is I would ask people, I mean, one, how do they feel about the episodes? Obviously, were they interesting? Does Rush's behavior confuse you? Maybe I am the odd one out or maybe I've just done too many group projects with people that the teacher imposed on me and not been able to choose my own partners, you know? Maybe that's kind of it's just a me thing. But also, how do you feel about Eli and his new relationship? How do you feel about Rush finally getting outed?
Yeah. And everyone finding the bridge of the ship, like,
Hmm.
you know, I don't know if people can remember like what they thought at the time before they saw the other episodes. Like, what did they think was going to happen?
And do you think by the end of the series that we will say that Rush and Young have one of the greatest romances on screen?
Oh God, that'd be toxic.
A toxic bromance is a bromance nonetheless, right?